guys, what's up Mustangs? Boo guys, welcome back to Forza Motorsport 7 with our first showdown. Yes, back in Forza 6 I did a showdown between 10 race cars to see how they would compare with each other. And I want to do that again because there's a fair few new amount of race cars in this game, at least updated ones or returning ones from Forza, from previous Forza games, which I find very exciting. And NASCARs are once again back, rounding off the top 10 in 10th place. Gotta show you NASCAR. Also, replays are having an absolutely massive problem in Forza. For instance, many of them don't have sound, or I've heard of a few people not having their vehicles show up at all in the replay. So this Chevy NASCAR is the silentest, it's the most silent NASCAR in the history of the world. Must be running on some really quiet electric batteries. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad car to drive. It was a bit wheel spinny for my taste. After all, it was a Chevy NASCAR going around Hockenheim. I picked Hockenheim because I like the track. It has a mixture of high-speed sections like this section, which would favor the NASCARs. And it has some really hard braking zones, hairpin corners, high-speed corners. It has everything you need, really, to really test a car. So, I thought it was a pretty fair testing ground, fairly even. Just my favorite one, really, Hockenheim. And, yeah, the NASCAR wasn't terrible. Wasn't as bad as you would expect a 700 horsepower rear-wheel drive vehicle that is relatively rudimentary compared to other racing vehicles. So, yeah, the NASCAR not too terrible, but, I would like to have some sound as well. Now, the next vehicle to go on our course is the Volkswagen Glow Rallycross Beetle. Now, this vehicle is slightly cheaty. I didn't realize they homologated it from S1 class to R class, so technically all these cars are R class, even though this one shouldn't be. But I decided to roll with it. It's not exactly very high up on the table anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Now, as you can see, I'm not exactly going, racing line-esque. So, that's because it's an opening lap, it's not even useful. I figured I would have some fun, and the Beetle is very easy to have some fun, and it's a phenomenal car. I love the Rallycross cars. I've loved them in Forza Horizon, and I'm glad they brought the Beetle back. I wasn't expecting that, but I love that they brought the Beetle back. It's one of my favorite cars from Horizon 2. So, and it's an awful fun to mess around with all these racetracks, just sliding it around all day. But, when I actually decided to go ahead and bother racing with it, wasn't too terrible. Again, four-wheel drive does help. It doesn't quite run out of gears. It tops out around 170 miles an hour in this car. So, and you want to get up to about 165-ish on this vehicle on a long back straightaway, so it's not like it has a gearing problem, really. And the acceleration is phenomenal when you're not sliding it around like this. It is fun, but it's not exactly fast. So, yeah, the Beetle has great acceleration, but it doesn't quite have the traction. It feels like it wants to let go on you. It doesn't have very big tires, has around 585 horsepower. It does have a bit of aero on it. I mean, it's a Beetle. It's very difficult to put aero on it. It looks absolutely crazy. I love the look of the Beetle. You've never said that before in your life, but I love the look of this thing. And, yeah, overall, solid 9th position. It's just not quite fast enough, however. Now, I want to have a road car in here, and I had to go with the Sesto Elemento. I love the car in Horizon 3. It's a great track car, and I figured, well, I could go with the one-to-one, the Regera, the Veyron, the obvious choice, but let's go with the Sesto. It's top of our class, four-wheel drive, 550-odd horsepower, really light though, less than 2,500 pounds. Went into 8th place. It's not terrible, however, compared to every other vehicle, it's extremely wobbly. And compared to a Forza Horizon 3, it's even more wobbly. I don't know what happened to it, but it was not a nice car to drive. I loved how it drove in Horizon 3, and I despised how it drove in this game. I think someone might have tampered with the suspension setup on my rental car. I don't know what happened to it, but something went wrong, and this car is wobbly and wheel spinny for whatever reason. And I did get a clean lap out of it, but it's just not as easy to drive as you would expect a Sesto Elemento to be, and I love the look of it. It's just not the easiest thing in the world to drive. And although we don't expect it to challenge the likes of the Renault Formula One car, or the the Chevy NASCAR, I should beat the Chevy NASCAR, whatever. Yeah, I was just not really impressed with it. I thought it was a little underwhelming. Another production car, if you will, the Aston Martin Vulcan. I wanted to have a production car that was not road legal, and I love the Vulcan. It's not the best in any category. However, I just love it. It has a humongous wing on the back. It's rear-wheel drive. It sounds ungodly, not that you can hear it, because so far, out of the 4 replays I have tested, 4 of them have broken sound. Forza, get on that, now. But it is quite quick. Has 800 horsepower. The brakes are phenomenal. It's rear-wheel drive, so it is a little bit sliding into the low-speed corners. But, yeah, overall, I thought it would place a little higher, honestly. I thought it would be at least one more, the next car up on the list. I thought it would at least beat that, but, I mean, 7th place is still not too shabby, 7th place. I did hope, this is the first vehicle that I drove, so I was hoping that the Vulcan would be semi-good. Yeah, I got my hopes up a little too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal car. All these cars on this list are incredible pieces of machinery. But compared to one another, yeah, the Vulcan struggled quite profusely. Alright, up next is the Datsun 280SX. ZX. With the craziest body kit you will ever see. You can get some glimpses of it there. I mean, just look at it. It's ridiculous. It's like they got pontoons and glued it to the back of the car and said, body kit. Downforce has been provided. I mean, like, look at it. You'll see it right now. Just look at the size of it. It sticks out so far. It's its own crumple zone. But anyway, the 280 ZX is a phenomenal machine. It's a crazy Group 5 car. I saw in the game, figured I had how to go with it. It was the 3rd car I drove. This is the vehicle I was expecting the Vulcan to beat. Not really much else to say. It was relatively fast in a straight line. It had good handling. It is still rear-wheel drive. All these cars have no tuning on them at all. No suspension, no aero, nothing. So, this is all stock, all natural power and everything. So, a solid vehicle. Not my favorite. It's crazy, but it's not really my favorite on this list. That will probably go to a vehicle later on. But, yeah, just a phenomenal machine that, once again, you don't get to hear for the 6th replay in a row. Come on, Forza, get it together. Now we have, rounding out the top 5, the Ford Daytona Endurance Prototype. Crazy looking thing. It looks kind of cliche. Looks like the race car you would draw when you're 5. But this is one of 2 Daytona Endurance prototypes we have in the game. Quite cool that we have both the Corvette and the Ford here. I do quite like that. And it's a fair bit faster than the Datsun. It's like you can clearly see the separation of groups. There's Tier 1, which we'll get to in the winning circle. Tier 2, and then which is 2 through 5, and then there's Tier 3, which is kind of everything else. It's a little slidey. It's a little slider than I would like, as you saw there. Probably the most wheel spinny of the few cars that I drove. It's not the worst, though, I've ever driven. I think that still goes to the rotary RX-3 that I drove on my own spare time. I built a RX-3 with puny tires on it. Anyway, back to the, got sidetracked there. Yeah, that's a phenomenal machine. And showing that this is number 5, you will quickly see that our list will get significantly faster over the next four cards. You'll see they'll get significantly faster. Now, in fourth place, we have a thing that I didn't even know existed. The Mazda B0986. Apparently an LMP car from 2010. Must not have done very well because I've never heard of it, and I've heard of a fair few LMP cars from that era. I love the look of it. I personally love the look of it. It looks a fair bit different than most LMP cars, which is probably why it didn't do too well, but that's not the point. The point is, it looks great. It reminisces of the Group C era, which is a phenomenal era, which I'll get to later on. With the giant wing and no weird tail fin that belongs on a fighter jet. Yeah, it's just a great car. It's very fast. It was by far the easiest to drive. It's the only car that I could truly boot it 100% out of the corners, full throttle, without any chance of wheel spin. It just doesn't wheel spin. It just doesn't. It's incredible. Because I can go full throttle out of that corner, no problems. I think the only time I had it spin was, or not even spin, I had to spin his wheels up once, going down that high-speed intro section where you're still in the low gears. That's the only time I saw it had wheel spin. It's an incredible car, by far my favorite vehicle to drive out of the group. But yeah, it's fast, it's just not really fast enough. We kind of have like three generations of LMP cars. We have the late 1990s, the 2010s, and the modern day ones that have been passed, that may be passing away. We do not know. Now it's up to Toyota because Janetta has ordered 3 of them. But yeah, we shall see. The future of LMP1 is still very much to be determined. But yeah, the Mazda, solid vehicle. It's just not quite fast enough. Edging on a podium spot is, well, the Group C car that I mentioned earlier, the Mercedes Sauber C9. I was very happy to see this come back into Forza after its absence from Forza 4. I think it was in Forza 4 it was downloadable content. Not sure, though. Incredible car. A little overshadowed by the 787B, simply because the 787B is the only Japanese manufacturer to win Le Mans, and the only non-cylindrical engine to win Le Mans. But the Sauber, I love the Sauber. It's just so simple, and yet it looks so good. It's just something about it I think looks incredible. And it's incredibly fast, it has incredibly good brakes. The turning is very good, the grip is fantastic. I don't think there is a single negative characteristic you can give this vehicle. Besides its rear-wheel drive, which is not ideal, but since there's so much grip, you almost don't notice. You can get the power down so easily. Not quite as easy as the Mazda, but it is very planted, very, very planted, and you can't go wrong with a good old Sauber. I heard something about Sauber recently with Mercedes. I hear they're partnering up again, but I don't know what they are doing. But yeah, I love the Group C cars. They were too fast, definitely, for their own safety. However, they were just a phenomenal cars, and this was right up there at the very, very top of them. Second place, rounding out the LMP cars, is the Porsche 919, the 2017 edition, which is an X-Class now. I was still on cold tires on this opening lap, which explains the four-wheel drive car sliding around. It's so fast. You can just carry so much speed with this car. And it has the traction, except on that one corner. It has the traction, just be able to floor it. Now, it really shouldn't have won Le Mans last year, or the year before that, for that matter. Because Toyota is so much faster per lap, it set the Le Mans lap time. But these are just that little bit more reliable. So the Toyotas always break down. In spectacular fashion, but they still break down. And, yeah, this always ends up winning basically by default. And, yeah, it's just... I love the car, but I really don't because it's gone now. It's like the first major racing division to be seriously called into question of the modern era. So, yeah, I'm a little saddened by that, but it is a truly incredible car. I mean, it does have an airplane wing on the back, which does help it with downforce, but it is just on another level. There's only one level higher than it, and that is this. This is the Renault Formula 1 car, which continues the tradition of having every single replay corrupted by no sound. Good job, Forza. But you will notice how fast this thing is by how difficult it is for the replays to catch up, and the fact that Cone is going at Mach 3. But you can break at the 50-meter board at top speed. I can English and speak properly, really. It is monumentally fast. It goes 200 miles an hour down the straightaway, and then brakes at a 150-meter board. It's so fast, and it has a fair little bit of traction considering three-wheel drive. It has 1,000 horsepower, like 1,100 horsepower, which I'm surprised the Formula cars even allow this. Now, that makes it very difficult to drive, so you will find out very quickly right now. I might have escaped the track a few times, because you'll get some wheel spin and then you're gone. You're just gone, and you go off into the distance and crash. It is the opposite of a forgiving car. And on one part you love it just because it's so visceral how fast it is, and then you are terrified and hate it because you're almost going off the track because you're A, turning in too early, or B, turning in too late and just flying off the track. It's such a fine line with this car, but it's so rewarding when you get it right. It's just so fast. So terrifying, but so fast. Yeah, I absolutely decimated the competition, which isn't really a surprise. Let's be honest, it's a Formula 1 car. These cars are being considered by the FIA too fast because they're actually destroying the racetracks they are driving on. Because they're tearing the asphalt up. They have so much ground downforce. So yeah, this is truly a incredible piece of engineering. A terrifying piece of engineering, but incredible nonetheless. And here you'll see the times pop up in just a little bit. Yeah, here it is. Kind of expected really the NASCAR in last place, obviously, with a 148.383. It's a little bit to be expected. I thought the Beetle would be slower than it, but it is a second faster. Cecil Lamento didn't fare too bad considering it was up against race cars, but it stood no chance of this wibbly-wobbly suspension. Vulcan, just again, not fast enough with a 143.758. Datsun 280, Group 5 car, not quite quick enough to hang with the big dogs, with a 143.7. Followed rather closely by and then we have a fair old gap, 9-second gap between the 5th and 6th place. For Daytona Endurance Prototype, 136.2, followed up in 4th by the Mazda LMP car that no one knows about, with a 135.7. Then we have a 132 in .889 for 3rd place, going to that Sauber C9. 2nd place, we have the Porsche 919 that shouldn't have won the Lawns, with a 130 dead. Kind of to be expected. I was surprised the Sauber wasn't in the lead considering how fast it was at Le Mans, with 200 plus mile an hour top speeds and all. But it just doesn't have the grip. So it's kind of interesting that all the LMP cars are bunched up together in such a strange order. And then, no surprises here, 12 seconds faster than the Porsche 919 LMP1 car is the Renault F1 RS17 with 1,000 horsepower and weighs like less than 2,000 pounds. So it's an absolutely bonkers car with a 118.253. It's just truly unbeatable. So yeah, a little predictable, but also a little interesting with the Beetle and the Daytona Prototype throwing out some interesting surprises. That though is going to be it for this episode of Forza Motorsport. So I'll be back with more.